Have you ever tried to go to sleep and you felt like you just kept tossing and turning and you just couldn't go to sleep? And then at some point, you just were asleep. And next thing you know, you'd slept through the whole night. And you're waking up, rubbing your eyes in the morning after a sound night of sleeping. And you can't remember the moment when you went from not being able to sleep to being too tired to stay awake. It seemed as if it happened just when you thought that you'd never be able to calm your mind and nod off. Now, sometimes it's hard to find inspiration for special projects, creative tasks, writing a book, doing something that you really want to accomplish. It can seem like a long journey. It can seem quite daunting. And it's kind of the same thing. You have to just begin. You begin and you take small steps consistently. Maybe you don't have the fortitude or the experience to write a whole novel, but you can still write half a page every day. You can still do something. And you might be surprised at how quickly all those little somethings add up to something meaningful. Think about when you first learned how to drive a car. You were probably a teenager, and initially it seemed like quite a difficult task. And then, as you continued to do it, there was a moment when it stopped being difficult, when it just became automatic. But you didn't really have a moment when you realized that you'd gone from being uncomfortable to being masterful. It just happened. You can't remember that one moment when you got good. You just kept doing it when you weren't good until the time came. And then in hindsight, you could see the path of growth that had taken you from where you began to the place where you ultimately ended up. And it seems quite natural in hindsight. Sometimes we think that the journey, the path to mastery, is further and harder than it really is, because it's sort of like the trying to go to sleep bit, or trying to figure out how much more you have to drive when you're a new driver until you are proficient at driving. When you haven't achieved the mastery, you don't know how much farther it is. It might be a little way, or it might be a long way. You just don't know. And so it can feel like, because the journey is so long, it's not even worth taking those first initial faltering steps. And yet, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And so you must begin. Maybe it's just writing in a journal every day, keeping notes that you can refer back to when you're not feeling inspired. Just something every day. You see, I'd like to write a book of some kind, and I found that to be quite a difficult task. I feel like I have some ideas of what might be good material, but it can feel almost impossible to take those ideas out of my mind and my imagination and turn them into something written on a page. And so my challenge to myself is not to do something big. It's to do something small. It's to make a point every day to spend a bit of time writing, even if I don't feel like I'm achieving much in doing so. One thing I've started to work on is learning to be okay with silence, with pausing and contemplating the things that I'm trying to conjure up, and not always filling my day with distractions. It's okay to have a pause. It's okay to not know what you're thinking right now and not quite know what the next step is going to be, and just to sit there letting your mind be blank while you scratch at the recesses to try to find the inspiration that's eluding you. You see, the creative process can't really be rushed. And you can't really hear your inner voice when you're drowning it out with all sorts of other distractions. Sometimes it's not that you aren't good at things. It's that you're not good at eliminating the distractions that keep you from manifesting your potential. So if you don't know where to begin, then start with one small step and do so every day. And if you struggle to have good ideas, then try eliminating some distractions so that you have more space to think and to know your own mind. And finally, remember that the journey from the beginning to the place of mastery is not necessarily as far and as long and as insurmountable as it seems at the beginning. Because you just don't really know what the path ahead is going to bring. So if you're trying to figure out how to rush the process, it just won't really work. You've got to be patient with yourself, but also continue to consistently work to improve yourself and develop your skill every day to be just a little bit better, a little bit more engaged than you were the previous day, the previous week, the previous year. Don't beat yourself up for what you didn't get around to doing, or what you didn't do well enough, or what you didn't complete yet. Just make a point every day to do a little bit more than you did the day before. Think of it like questing in a game you've just began. There's new journeys, there's new discoveries, and it can seem like there's so much content to get through that you could quest your life away and never get to the end of it. But if you work on it just a little bit every day, you don't set off to win the game, you just complete content a little bit at a time. And one day, possibly sooner than you thought, you will have gotten to the end game. You will have learned a lot of things you didn't even know you didn't know. And you'll be helping some other new player find their legs for the first time. Don't let doubt be a reason for not beginning. Remember the parable of the talents, that a man gave a few gentlemen money, and he came back, and the one who had the littlest bit of money had buried it, and he said, "Here's what you gave me back, because I didn't have very much, and I knew you're a hard man. Didn't want to disappoint you, so I just buried it in the yard." And all the others, they had invested the money. They'd made something out of it. Maybe not a lot, but something. The ones who'd invested the money, they were praised. The man who had thrown it away, he was condemned. And so it is in life. It's not that we need to be the best at anything in particular, but we do need to begin. We do need to say, yes, I am going to start. I am going to do something today to come closer to realizing my goals and my dreams. No, you don't need to achieve mastery today. Just do something, some meaningful step, so that you can say, yes, I did. Make an effort today to be a better version of myself than I was the day before. Whatever it is you're seeking or chasing, hoping for, good luck with your adventures. Till next time. Thank you.